Good day, engineers. So, para sa video na to, is sasagutan natin yung sample problem number 1 for the active and passive earth condition ng lateral earth pressure natin. So, yung sample problem number 1 natin states that a retaining wall supports a 5-meter high horizontal backfill having the following properties. So, gamma dry is equal to 15 kN per cubic meter. Gamma saturated will be 19.5 kN per cubic meter and an angle of internal friction equal to 28 degrees. If the water table has a height of 1.2 meters from the bottom of the wall and the top of the soil has an overburden pressure of 35 kilopascal, determine the active and the passive earth force. So, para dun sa problem, syempre, kailangan natin siyang i-drawing kasi nga this is just a worded problem. Sa mga problems dito, hindi siya automatic naka-drawing. At times, kailangan mong i-analyze yung worded problem saka natin siya i-drawing. So, sabi doon, so meron ka daw gamma dry na 15 at gamma saturated na 19.5. So, ibig sabihin, meron ditong part na involving soil mechanics. So, may mga problems at times na kailangan mong i-determine what is gamma dry, ano yung gamma saturated, ano yung buoyant unit weight, ano yung moist unit weight. So, yun yung mga conditions na yun. Then, may times na pwede rin nating i-partner to dun sa previous topic natin on the shear strength of soil kasi involved si cohesion dito at involved si angle of internal friction. So, to draw our retaining wall supporting a horizontal backfill, sabi natin 5-meter high horizontal backfill yung sinusupport ng mismong retaining wall na yun. So, ibig sabihin, hindi naman sinabi kung anong height ng retaining wall. So, ibig sabihin, we are assuming that they are of equal height. So, ito yung 5 meters, ito yung retaining wall, then ito yung soil backfill. So, andyan na rin yung properties ng soil natin, yung gamma dry na 15 kN per cubic meter, yung saturated unit weight na 19.5 kN per cubic meter, at yung angle of internal friction natin na 28 degrees. So, sabi dyan, if the water table has a height of 1.2 meters from the bottom of the wall. So, kung ito yung bottom of the retaining wall, so ibig sabihin, mula dyan, pataas, nandun yung water table natin, which is shown, ito. So, ang height nun is 1.2 meters, which is ito. Next, ang sabi niya, meron tayong overburden pressure at the top of the soil, which is 35 kilopascal. So, since overburden pressure siya, it is a uniformly distributed pressure at the top, which is shown na ito. So, ang pinaba-determine sa atin, yung active and passive earth force. So, to solve this problem, una, kailangan natin munang ma-determine yung mga pressure diagrams. Then, we're going to determine the pressure coefficients. So, to determine the pressure diagram, so, nakahanda na yung drawings niya. So, ito tayo. So, as you can see, yung soil natin, kahit iisang soil lang siya na nire-retain, naging multi-layer siya kasi nga, yung part na nasa ibabaw, we can consider it as dry. So, ini-state naman yun sa problem kung yung tubig na hindi aabutin ng water table is dry or yung tubig is moist. So, since dry naman yung given natin, we assume that that is dry. So, dry yung nasa taas, yung nasa baba saturated, which is ito. So, kung kukunin natin parts by parts yung diagrams niya, so meron tayong diagram na triangular. This is for the lateral earth pressure nung soil na nasa ibabaw, which is the dry soil. Then after that, meron tayong pressure number 2. Ito yung overburden pressure na i-cause ng dry soil na nasa taas. Then meron tayong pressure number 3, which is ito yung pressure na i-cause ng saturated soil or yung lateral earth pressure na i-cause ng saturated soil. And we have P sub 4, which is yung pressure na i-cause naman ng water natin. And meron tayong P sub 5, which is the pressure na i-cause ng overburden. So to start calculating for the values, syempre ang unang-una nating i-determine is kung ano yung mga earth pressure coefficient niya. So we will start with K sub A. So for our value for the active earth coefficient, we can have 1 minus sine of phi over the 1 plus sine of phi. So that is 1 minus sine of 28 divided by 1 plus sine of 28. So from this value or from this one, we could have a value 0.361. So yan ngayon yung K sub A natin. And alam natin na ang value ni K sub P is just the reciprocal of K sub A. So we can have 1 over our Ka. So that will be 1 over 0.361. So that will be a value of 1,000 over 361. So meron na tayo ngayong mga values ng earth coefficient natin. So pwede na tayo ngayon kumompute ng individual pressure coming from our pressure diagram. So we'll start with pressure number 1 for the active condition. So this will be for the active condition. So for our active condition, si P sub 1, so since sabi ko nga, siya yung lateral stress or lateral earth na i-cause ng dry soil. So that will be P sub 1 is equal to the gamma dry times yung height ng soil doon. Let's take it as height sub 1 times yung earth coefficient K sub A. So that will be 15 times H1 is 3.8, yung height ng soil, times our Ka is 0.361. So our P sub 1 will just be equivalent to a value. So that is 20.577. So yan ngayon yung pressure 1 natin. Our pressure 2 is caused by the overburden pressure nung nung dry soil sa taas, which is also equivalent dito sa P sub 1 natin. Kasi nga, iisa lang yung active earth coefficient. Mag-iiba lang sila kapag nag-iba na yung active earth coefficient dito sa second layer ng soil. So, since parehas lang sila ng angle of internal friction, so this will also be equal to P sub 2. Kasi yun din yung makakompute natin eh. That is gamma dry H1 times Ka pa rin. So, punta na tayo sa P sub 3. Our P sub 3 will be equivalent to the lateral earth pressure nung second layer ng soil natin or yung bottom layer ng soil natin, which corresponds to the saturated soil. So, kailangan natin yung effective na value nun. So, that will be gamma saturated minus gamma ng water. Siyempre, that is times H2 times Ka. So, that will be gamma saturated is 19.5 minus 9.81 times the height 2, which is 1.2 meters, times Ka, which is 0.361. So that will be a value equivalent to 4.1977. So this is in kilopascals. Then for our P sub 4, so that is caused by the water. So that is just gamma ng water times the height 2. So that will be 9.81 times the height of water, which is 1.2. So that will be equivalent to a pressure of, so that is 2943 over 250. So ito na yung pressure number 4 natin. And our pressure number 5 will just be equivalent to the value of the overburden pressure times the active earth coefficient. So that will be Q times K sub A. So that will be 35 times the value 0.361. So that will be equivalent to, so that is 2527 over 200. So meron tayong kilopascals na unit. So nakuha na natin yung pressures for our active condition. Pwede natin siyang isolve using the force method and the resulting diagram method. So solve natin siya on the part of the force method. So for the forces, kunin natin yung areas ng pressure diagram natin. So forces, so dun tayo sa F sub 1. So that is a triangular figure. So that is 1/2 P sub 1 times 3.8. So that will be 1/2 times P sub 1 times 3.8. So that will be equivalent to 1/2 times 20.577 times 3.8. So that will be equivalent to a value of 39.0963. So this is in kilonewton per meter. Kasi per meter length natin kinukuha yung values dito. So nag-a-analyze kasi tayo per meter strip. So let's proceed to force number 2. So that will be equivalent to, si force number 2 will be caused by diagram number 2, which is ito. So that is a rectangle. So it has a value P sub 2 na pressure. So area ng rectangle lang siya. So that will be P sub 2 times height na 1.2. So that is P sub 2 times 1.2. So that will be equivalent to yung P sub 2 natin pareha sa P sub 1. So that is 20.577 times our 1.2. So that will be equivalent to a value 24.6924. So this is in kilonewton per meter. Next, let's proceed to force number 3. Si force number 3 is a triangle having a pressure P sub 3. So F sub 3 is equal to 1/2, since triangle siya, times P sub 3 times 1.2. So that is equivalent to 1/2 times yung P sub 3 natin is 4.1977 times 1.2. So that will be equivalent to a value of 2.5186. So this is in kilonewton per meter. Next, we proceed to F sub 4. F sub 4 is corresponding to this diagram. So, ito siya. So, ito yun. So, kung gagamitin natin yan, we could have a triangle. So, that is 1/2 times P sub 4. So, gawin lang nating black. So, that is 1/2 times P sub 4 times 1.2. So, that will be 1/2 times our P sub 4 is 2943 over 250 times 1.2. So, we could have a value equivalent to, so that is 8829. 8829 over 1,250. So, this is in kilonewton per meter. Now, last force will be F sub 5. So, F sub 5 now is just equivalent to a rectangular one having a height na 5 meters and a pressure P5. So, that will be P5 times 5 meters. So, that will be 2527 over 200 times 5. So, that will be equivalent to a value of 2527 over 40. So, this is in kilonewton per meter. So, yan na ngayon yung ating mga forces na para makuha yung active earth force. So, that will be F sub A is just equal to F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 plus the F5. So, adding those values, we could have an active earth force equivalent to 136.5455. So, this is in kilonewton per meter. Ito na ngayon yung hinahanap natin na active earth force. Then, next, pwede din natin siyang gawin alternatively using the resulting diagram. So, for our resulting diagram, we could have, so, itong figure na to. So, as you can see, our resulting diagrams per level. So, syempre, dun muna tayo sa nasa tuktok. So, 0 to. Tapos, ito, corresponding to P5. So, equivalent is P5 yung ibabaw. Now, dun tayo sa upper part ng diagram. Ito lang muna titignan natin, yung upper part. So, syempre, ang mag-add doon yung P1 and yung P5. So, P1 plus P5. Then, yung sa lower part naman nung diagram natin. So, ito. Tapos, ito, tsaka yung lower. Ito. So, same P1 din doon. P2 plus P5 doon. Pero since P1 is equal to P2, so, syempre, parehas lang sila ng resulting diagram sa baba. P1 plus P5 pa rin. Then, doon tayo sa pinaka-lower part ng second level na diagram. So, P2, P3 plus P4 plus P5. So, eto siya. So, now, as you can see, meron tayong pressures per level. So, makakabuo tayo ng dalawang trapezoid and using the area of these two trapezoids, pwede nating mapalabas yung active force. So, kailangan mag-equal sila nung forces or nung sagot kanina na gamit natin is yung force method. So, using yung pressure, so we could have, so yung nasa taas natin, P5 is automatically equivalent to 2527 over 200 kilopascals. Then, Doon tayo sa second level, P1 plus P5. So, that is P1 plus P5. So, that is 20.577 plus 2527 over 200. So, we could have a value equivalent to, that is 8303 over 250. Next, we could have P2 plus P3 plus P4 plus P5. So, that is P2 is 20.577 plus P3 is 4.1977 plus 2943 over 250 plus 2527 over 200. So, that is 2527 over 200. So, the value of P2 plus P3 plus P4 plus P5 will be equivalent to 49.1817. So, from this one, kunin natin yung area ng dalawang trapezoid. So, we could have a value nung active earth force. So, that is FA is now equal to a value of FA is equal to yung first diagram sa taas. So, that is P3 and P1 plus P5. So, that is 8303 over 250 plus 2527 over 200 divided by 2 times yung height nun is 3.8. Then, add natin si P1 plus P5 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4 plus P5 divided by 2. So, add natin to at ito. So, that is 8303 8303 over 250 plus 49.1817 divided by 2 times the value 1.2. So, our resulting active force will be equivalent to a value of 136.5455. So, this is also in kilonewton per meter. So, as you can see, it is the same value as dun sa nakuha natin using the forces. So, any of the two methods can be used for determining our F sub A. So, alternatively, pwede din natin gamitin yung integral calculus. Gagawa lang tayo ng dalawang differential strip. So, isa para dun sa nasa taas na trapezoid at isa para dun sa nasa baba. Then, ang kailangan lang natin is kunin yung equation ng line na to at kunin yung equation ng line na to. So, you could have two equation of lines in terms of x or in terms of y. So, yun lang yung kailangan nating makuha para malaman yung active or yung active lateral earth force. So, proceed tayo ngayon sa pagdetermine naman nung passive earth force. So, sa passive earth force, same lang naman yung procedure. Ang mag-iiba lang kasi dito is yung passive earth coefficient niya. So, gagamitin natin yung 1,000 over 361. So, kunin natin yung passive condition. So, for our passive condition, so, kunin muna natin yung individual pressures doon. So, that is so, ang individual pressure conditions natin will be P sub 1. So, syempre, yun pa rin yung lateral earth pressure ng soil. So, that is gamma dry H1 Kp na. So, that is And 15 times 3.8 times 1,000 over 361. So, syempre, this will be equivalent to a value ng P sub 2 na din kasi nga pares lang naman sila. So, that will be equal to 3,000 over 19. Next, si P sub 2 natin will be equivalent or yung P sub 2 natin nandito na pala. So, P sub 3 na tayo. So, for our P sub 3, yun yung soil na saturated. So, that is gamma saturated minus gamma ng water times height 2 times Kp. So, that is 19.5 minus 9.81 times height 2 is 1.2 meters times Kp is 1,000 over 361. So, our P sub 3 will be equivalent to, so that is 612 over 19. Next, pressure 4. Syempre, hindi naman magbabago yung water kasi wala naman yung passive earth coefficient. So, copy na lang natin yung nasa active condition na 2943 over 250. So, that is P sub 4 is equal to 2943 over 250. Then, our P sub 5 will be equivalent to a value QKP. So, that is Q times our K sub P. So, that will be 35. Tama. That is 35 times 1,000 over 361. So, our P5 will be equivalent to a value of 35,000 over 361. So, ito na yung pressure natin. Pwede tayong mamili kung gagamitin natin yung resulting pressure diagram or pwede rin na yung force diagrams or yung forces na lang individually. So, gamitin natin yung pressure diagram. So, same procedure. We have P5 tapos P1 plus P5 sa second level and P2 plus P3 plus P4 plus P5 sa third level. So, that will be, so automatically meron tayo dyang P5 which is 35,000 over 361. Then P1 plus P5. So, that is equal to, P1 natin is 3,000 over 19. Plus our P5 will be 35,000 over 361. So, that will be a value equivalent to 254.8476. So, kilopascals pa yung dalawa. So, next, dun tayo sa P2 plus P3 plus P4 plus our P5. So, that is a value 3,000 over 19 plus P3 is 612 over 19 plus P4 is 2943 over 250 plus our P5 which is 35,000 over 361. So, we have a value for this one equivalent to 298.8302. So, this is in kilopascal. So, ngayon, pwede na natin gawin is to get the passive earth force by having the earth pressure diagrams. So, trapezoid sa taas and trapezoid sa baba, i-add natin. So, that is P5. I-add natin to kasi ito yung length ng dalawa or yung height ng trapezoid na magkaiba. So, P5 tsaka itong P1 plus P5. So, that is So 35,000 over 361 plus 254.8476 divided by 2 times yung height nung trapezoid is 3.8. So, yan yung unang trapezoid natin. Plus, yung second trapezoid natin, add natin tong dalawa. So, that is 254.8476 plus 298.8302 divided by the value 2 times 1.2. So, ito ngayon yung second trapezoid. So, our passive earth force coming from the areas of the two trapezoids will be equivalent to a value. So, that is 1,000 over 1,000.6276. So, this is in kilonewton per meter. Ito ngayon yung corresponding natin na passive earth force. So, now we have now our required, which is the active lateral force and the passive lateral force. So that will be all for this sample problem number 1. Again, this is Engineer Rodolfo. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to Butch TV.